I know things you never see. You never see someone taking a shit while running at full speed.
Come on, kid, get rid of some of them turds in the shit box.
Welcome to the Bathroom Break Podcast with me, Rab himself. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Rab from the Bathroom Break Podcast. Just wanted to take a minute to thank you all for listening to the podcast. It's been a lot of fun to sit down with some really interesting people and shoot the shit, talk all that poop and stuff. But yeah, we want to try and make this thing better for you, so we're going to need to raise some funds. If you head over to greengate.bigcartel.com, there's a donation link there. If you feel so inclined to donate to the Bathroom Break Podcast, awesome. If not, sit back and listen. We're going to talk some crap. Welcome to the Bathroom Break Podcast. I'm Rab himself, and my guest today is Jeff Tremaine.
I like that you kept himself. I was wondering if, I thought you dropped himself.
Dude, I mean, I feel like at one point people started calling me Christian because that's my full name.
Shit.
They're like, oh, I think he wants to go by Christian now. I'm like, what did I become, like Ricky Schroeder? Like, now I have to have a specific name?
I know. It's so funny. Like, everyone on our crew has a name, and I'll hear it, like, at the office, someone will be around here and saying, hey, is Greg here? I'm like, Greg. I don't know any Gregs. Like, Greg, a Gooch. Oh, Gooch. Oh,
Yeah,
Gooch is
Gooch.
right over
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Like, Greg.
Who the hell's this Greg character? Yeah, I when you said that, I thought Wolfie because I don't even
Same
think
with
of
Wolfie.
Gooch
Like, Greg.
as Greg.
I forget that his name's even Greg. Like, he's Wolfie.
Yeah, I would have totally forgot that Gooch was named Greg.
Stupid.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So the himself is still alive and well. But dude,
I'm
man,
glad. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm keeping it. How's it going?
Good, man.
Yeah.
Things are good. Things are crazy.
Yeah, dude, it's good to see. I'm wandering into the office here, and there's like the Beastie Boys and Jonah Hill's hanging out, and, like all this stuff. Shit. Just kidding. We were listening to the Beastie Boys, but yeah, man. No, it's thanks for coming on. I wanted to sit down with you because obviously anybody who's listening knows Jeff Tremaine from Jackass and Big Brother and all those. Amazing projects that you've done.
Very intellectual
Yes.
things.
deep intellectual stuff.
Big time.
But no, I wanted to chat about The Dirt. Obviously, that movie's coming out here.
I want to hear you and Dave England's. Like, you guys are the two shitters, and they were talking to each other.
Dude, it was seriously.
Probably got to look competitive.
Yeah. It was like an hour and a half of just shit stories back and forth.
Yeah. Like,
you're
like the East Coast shitter, and he's the West Coast shitter. There should be beef.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if there was going to be. Like when we first sat down, I was like, "Oh man, he's a shitter, I'm a shitter," and he took his hat off to me, which was very very nice of him.
Well, he had to. You know what I mean? Like,
he was like, "Well, you did the
you full sprint shitted.
Yeah.
Like, no, who's done that? Like, that's like I don't think he could. Maybe he could. Like,
he could do it. Yeah, he certainly could do it. Yeah, we talked about how easily his bowels move, so he could do it.
I know he can because actually we did a thing. I don't even know if we put it on 3.5 for Jackass 3. We did this like enema challenge, and like one of the challenges was long jumping. Like, you take the enema and you've got like a jock strap. I don't even know why you have a jock strap on, but like because your butthole's open, I guess.
Yeah.
And they shot the enemas, and then have to wait, and then they just have to run and do like a track and field long jump. And every time, like, I think Dave would shit on the run up.
Yeah.
Most times like, when you land, it sort of dislodges everything.
Yeah, I guess if you have a super strong.
But I think he did shit on the full speed run.
Yeah.
So.
It's almost impossible because I was going to say, like, when I did it, like, it was literally like I had to tense up so hard so that it wouldn't shit. So then the minute you start running, you, like, relax a little, and then it's like, boom, there's no holding it in.
I don't think I could shit and run. I think I would be too...
With enough X-Lax and coffee, you could...
I guess, that's true. I do have a very sort of particular, like, routine, and if I mess it up, I get, like...
Yeah.
Risk of shitting my pants all day, like.
Yeah, we were talking about like,
coffee's a bad one for me. Like,
well, that's what did it. I ate 18 X-Lax, and then I'm sitting there for like an hour, and Bam kept being like.
Do you think 18 does any more than like 5? Like.
No. I think it was just for the sake of like saying I ate the entire box of them.
Yeah, it's the world we're in right now.
And Bam's like, "Oh, dude, do you have to shit?" I'm like, I don't know. And then I drank like a little bit of coffee, and it was like, get the camera. And but dude, after I ate all 18 of them, I called my mom because she's a nurse, and I was like, hey, I just ate like 18 X-Lax. She's Christian, why did you do that? Like flipping out because she's like you could literally like dehydrate from that. So I had to take Imodium. And then Imodium just counteracted.
Yeah, it kind of backs it up in there, so that holds it all in.
But
there.
you felt like you had to shit really bad, but then when you get to the toilet, you don't have to shit.
Right.
So it was like, oh, and then just no shit. But
I remember when I'm gonna just stay on the shit for a minute. Like we were doing Wild Boys, and we were in India, and in India, on our shitty little production, like India just throws people at everything. Like so our crew just got so big, because. That's their style. And we had, instead of a EMT, which we would have to travel around, just like a guy who gets you to the hospital, we have a plan to get you out of there.
Oh, that's good.
If something bad happens. We learned the hard way.
Yeah.
Anyway, in India, instead of having an EMT, we had 2 medical doctors with us.
Oh, wow.
And, a bunch of our crew was getting, like, dysentery, getting sick. And then one doctor, yes, Rick was one of them. One of the doctors would give you Imodium right away. And the other one was super against it. I watched them fight about it because the other one wants you to just shit it all out, get it out of your system. But the Imodium holds everything in. And I thought the second doctor made more sense. Like, let it just get out of there.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder because, like, to an extent.
Right.
Because then what if you're just shitting out nothing? Like
right.
I've had those days.
Yeah. I think as long as you stay hydrated, as long as you can find a way to keep liquids in the system.
Yeah, because Dave England and I we were talking about, like, probably, like, for me, like, it was like a decade where, like, I couldn't have a solid shit.
I didn't know we were just going to give... I think I started this too, but...
Hey, it's hard not to.
I can talk shit all day.
Yeah. But it was like a whole, like, 10 years of just shitting and then, like, and never having a solid shit.
Oh, God.
But then when I actually got, like, sober and shit, then it started to bind up and become a real turd. Dude, I remember because when we were I was in my group stuff, and, like, we literally had a celebration for my first solid shit.
Oh, wow. I never even thought about that.
I drank every day, all day, all the time. And
that's true. When I'm boozing too, you're the same thing. You're right. It's just,
It's just mud butt for the whole, the whole time.
But, I never thought about that as a celebration for sobriety. Hard turd.
Yeah. So speaking of turds, man.
Speaking of turds, let's talk about the dirt.
Yeah. For real, man. I got to see it. Like they, like one of your assistants sent it over, so I could watch
that, man?
it.
You're fucking big time.
Yeah, I felt big time. I was like, wow.
Get that exclusive link.
Yeah, dude, it was incredible though. For
Thanks,
real.
man.
Like,
Thank you.
And not just saying that because I know you, but like really like watching it. I always felt like I always hated the nerd that, like, I read the Harry Potter book, and then when I saw Harry Potter, it just wasn't as good as the book. You know, like, there's always that guy, and I literally...
Probably more with this, honestly, than with, like, Harry Potter. Like, this is, like...
But I felt like the dude, like, I read the book, and then I saw the movie, and that's, like, probably the only time that ever happened to me. Like, I was like, I've read a book.
How many books have you read? Let's be realistic.
At least 1.5. But yeah, so when I read it, and then it just immediately when it started, it just felt like I didn't want to compare it to the book, and I found myself not doing that once I got into the movie because I just totally forgot about all of that.
Right.
Because I was just immersed into it. But then when I look back after having seen it, it was like, dude, it just captures every single awesome part of what the book is, and then just, I don't know, it just brings you on the ride of Mötley Crüe, and fuck, it's amazing. Like,
that's cool. Yeah, I mean, it was, it's not an easy book to make a movie because it's not linear. The story, it's in and out of order, and it doesn't even add up to. I mean, it's just a whole 30 years of mayhem.
Yeah.
So
how did you?
I'm glad to hear
that
you. I was picturing you saying, like, I watched it, and because you know me, I'm like, I'm so surprised it actually looked like a real movie.
Yeah, like it didn't suck, and I was like, Jeff made that? But no, dude, like it really did, like, cause there's parts, and I don't know when we'll air this, so I don't want to say anything like spoiler wise, but there's parts of it, and I think like the heavy part, obviously with Vince, like it was like where that really like got you kind of fucked up, like where I as a viewer was kind of like fucked up about that. I mean, obviously, we have someone who.
Right.
As a result of similar circumstances, and so, but yeah, it got me choked up in that moment. And
Good.
So
I mean, that's why like my desire to tell, like to make the dirt, was not out of my love for Mötley Crüe. I like Mötley Crüe just fine. All through my life, they've been around, and I liked them. But I wasn't a super fan of Mötley Crüe. And you were a part of this, like. When I read that book, we were kind of right on the just rocket ride of Jackass, and it's similar. They're similar stories in so many ways. It's like these young guys that get exposed to fame and are encouraged to just be as naughty and terrible. And it's fun for a minute, it's fun, but it also there's consequences to after a while, like. Everything shifts. Your moral line shifts. Like what's acceptable, what's not. Like what gets you psyched, and the amount that it takes to go there. And I mean, there's just so much to it. But it's been a roller coaster of good and bad for all of us, right? Yeah. And I think that was my attraction to the book. Well, like wanting to tell that story and wanting to tell it with an accuracy and an authenticity. That's what I tried to do. So,
well, you absolutely did that, dude. I mean, absolutely, and that's really cool to kind of hear it from that perspective of Jackass being such a similar thing. Because I felt like that at times where, I mean, you'd always heard like when we were younger, you always heard like, oh, Mötley Crüe is the wildest, and like at a time I was like, they ain't got shit on what we're doing, like that's what I felt like, and I didn't know them personally, so I didn't know. But then obviously when I read the book, I realized, okay, cool, it was definitely on those levels, but there's all very similar story stuff of it, and yeah, I mean the Jackass.
I mean, we'd even use Mötley Crüe sometimes as motivators, especially for like Steve-O. Like if I wanted Steve-O to destroy something, just put Mötley fucking Crüe on. And for him back then, it couldn't be Dr. Feelgood though. He had a no Dr. Feelgood fucked up. Those guys are sober, man. Fuck that album. Like he had this like fucking very strict Mötley Crüe fuck shit up attitude, and
yeah, and I always remember that photo.
like he wrecked that van. Remember when he fucking I don't know if you like. In the first movie, going out to we were shooting the big ending where everyone was old and getting destroyed, and they put Mötley Crüe on, and he just ripped the whole Teamster van to pieces, like destroyed it. And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say because I always remember the photo of him with like Mötley Crüe when he's a little kid.
Yeah.
Like he had met them when he was like, so he was already on this path to like, this is rad, I'm doing this.
Yeah. Like, I mean, to a point where, like, in the first movie, he was such a super fan that we fucked with it. Well, we didn't try to fuck with him. He was going to get the off-road tattoo.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know the story. Like, I was going to give him that tattoo in the off-road vehicle. And I thought, well, let's get, we're doing a movie. Now we can reach out and get celebrities to be a part of it, and it'll be cool. And so I thought, let's get Nikki Sixx to drive the fucking off-road. And, so they somehow got in touch with Nicky, and he agreed to do it. But like in the few days coming up to it, we sort of lost contact with Nicky and didn't know how to get back in touch with him. And it's sort of like fuck. So we had to scramble and find someone else. And so we found Rollins. And but I didn't tell Steve-O that we had switched.
What fun is that?
And so.
So did Nicky? Did you ever figure out like did he fall off? Because
I don't know. I never figured out. Like I didn't know Nicky back then. I didn't know how to get in touch with him, and I don't think he even remembers.
Yeah.
Like, if I talk to him now about it, I don't think he would know what happened.
Yeah, he's been sober though a long time, huh?
He has.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because I wondered was he sober then or whatever, but
I don't like I only know him as a sober person, but I've only known him since the process of making this movie, which I guess I met Nicky 8.5 years ago.
Okay.
So 8 years ago. And so, but he's been so super cool and super.
So yeah, was he psyched that you were gonna be the one?
I don't think he was psyched at first. I think, I had to go and sort of win him over, and I came in with this. I made this like lookbook and this sizzle reel. I went after this project hard, and I think early on, like I was like really nervous about meeting Nick. I had to meet each of the band guys to get the gig, and Nicky was the first one. And this is after I, kind of won approval from Julie Yorn, the producers, and Eric Olson. So once I got past that hurdle, they put me in front of Nicky to see if Nicky's cool with it. And I showed him, this stuff, and I was talking about the movies that I think it should influence it, and I think he just kind of saw the underdog. I mean, he like first didn't think like, like he wouldn't look at Jackass and say, I want that guy to tell my story. Right. But we connected on a lot of levels. Like I expressed the same thing I just told you. Like I relate to this on a different level. I relate to this because I think I've sat shotgun and watched this actually happen.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, he just saw sort of an underdog in me that he kind of connected to himself. Like he always felt like the underdog. He always felt the band was underdogs, and so I think he liked it that I was doing it and that I would tell it true and with the rawness that it needs. And it's funny because then, so we connected right away, and he was cool with it. Like pretty soon into the meeting. And so I thought, oh, good, because now I just got to go to Tommy's going to be easy. So I go to meet Tommy, and Tommy was fucking hard.
Oh,
Tommy
man.
went after me. He's like, well, what do you think? Like, I don't see how you're going to do this movie. I don't think this movie's a comedy. I mean, it's got some stuff in it, but I just don't see why you think. How would you do this? And how would you do that? And he just grilled me with good, made me stand up for myself and stand up for what I thought. And it's so funny because I left the meeting like a little bit shook. I'm like, fuck, man, I overlooked Tommy. I just thought he was going to be one of our guys. Like, he seems the most like any of the Jackass guys, right? Yeah. So I get into my car leaving the meeting, and like I get this text from him. He's like, dude, this is going to be so fucking rad. I'm like, oh, you fucking, where were you in that meeting? So.
Yeah, damn, that's crazy. And because I was gonna say I've never met Nicky, but I met Tommy when we were doing Viva La Bam.
Right.
We went to his studio, and we always bust on Rake because Rakeon walks in and goes, "Oh wow, this is a beautiful studio." We're like, "What the fuck do you know about like a music studio?" Yeah, it's like we do. And but Tommy was super nice and friendly and all that. So yeah, I would have thought the same thing that he'd be like receptive to it, but that's funny that it always feels like that the thing you overlook is like that gets you.
That's how it is. Even like when we shoot Jackass stuff, like we'll be prepared for this big, like super prepared for the big stunt we're doing, and it's the little thing on the side that's either gonna fucking bite you on the ass or it's gonna be way funnier and better than the big one you set up for, right? Like we'll be setting up this huge shot, and then all of a sudden, like right over the side, they're getting Wee Man to kick himself in the head, and that is so much more funny than the big expensive thing we're setting up for. You know what I mean?
Like that's just a dud now. Like, all right,
that's always like that. So.
Oh, it's funny. So okay. So walk me through like the process once you actually like. Now you get the text from Tommy and Nicky approves, and then you're like.
So then and then I had to meet with Vince and Mick and. They were cool. They worked out pretty well. And then we start, like there was a script. Rich Wilkes wrote this script, and it had these incredible scenes in it. But to me, it didn't. I just didn't connect with it the way I thought it had. It was a bunch of rad scenes, but I didn't make a story to me. And so we sort of broke that script apart, saving all these great scenes, but kind of putting them into more traditional order. Like I thought. Let's start this. Like I just thought it should be a beginning to.
Yeah.
So we put it in order, and my assistant at the time. So basically, it was me and Eric Olson and my assistant Amanda Adelson, and Amanda went to school for screenwriting, but I didn't know this about her. So, but we started just kind of breaking the script into different scenes and putting it in cards and putting it up on a board and sort of saying, all right, now we need a scene that gets us from here to here. And she started writing these little scenes just as I thought we were going to hire a big writer. And, and these scenes were coming out good. I'm like, well, that's pretty good. Try this. Like, let's write this one. And then it started adding up, and we started just writing it ourselves. I never had done that before with a script or story, but
not even like the Bad Grandpa stuff.
Well, Bad Grandpa was similar to that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was So that was sort of a different approach. We didn't kind of go in with that story all the way figured out. It took a long way to find the Bad Grandpa story, but I wish we would have done it maybe a little more organized in the beginning, because we stopped down in the middle and then realized what's working, what's not working. Let's go with this, and we made it much more traditional. So that's what the process was, and really it was Amanda and Eric. They were just kind of then just off and running on writing these scenes and filling it out, and I was sort of just shepherding. This is how I think the story should go. And so, and then when we got the script in a good shape, we shopped it around. So the production company LBI had the rights to it. They got them from Paramount, but they needed to find a studio to make the movie.
Oh, so you were like putting the script together before a studio. It was
we were getting it ready to shop it. I was attached to it. But we didn't have any actors, or we didn't have a deal yet. So they found a deal with Focus Pictures, but we just hit them at the wrong time. Like, everybody left right after we got we got them to pay for it, and they're excited about it, and then everybody leaves, and we're just stuck there, like right before it's gonna go.
Oh wow!
And it was devastating. And then Netflix, luckily, I guess it was a year later, 2 years later, came in and showed some enthusiasm, so it just fired it back up, and we then started casting, and it's a long process.
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say. Is I don't think people realize that
I got attached to it in. I'd say I got attached to it in the beginning of 2011, but it was really 2010 that I started going after it.
Yeah.
So I was officially attached in 2011. So. Yeah, that's 8 years.
Yeah, and here we are. Yeah, 2019, and it's coming out on March 22nd.
Yep.
So man, that's crazy. Okay, so
which is a totally different process than, say, getting Bad Grandpa made or getting a Jackass movie made. Like, I just thought, oh shit, everyone's just dying to make movies. They'll make a movie about anything.
Right.
So easy.
Didn't realize you had such a hit on your hands that it was like, oh, everything's not this easy.
It's not that easy. Shit.
I know. I think I kind of came to that realization too, like after Jackass, Beaver and Bam stuff, and then trying to pitch shows, and then and people being like, oh, cool, and then you'll get it into development, and then it won't go, and then this won't happen. And I was like, oh, what? Yeah. I was like 20 when you guys showed up to the Acme parking lot, and we just started filming nonsense, and then it all worked. Like, what happened?
Yeah.
That was I was like, because I was a young ass kid. I always telling the story with Dave is like, you guys were like 29, because I think you're like 10 years older than me. Yeah. And you were like 29 at the time, and I was 19 when we were filming a couple things, and I turned 20, and then it aired, but I was like 19 years old when we were filming, and I ripped my arm out of the socket
fucked you up
on the thing. But I remember you and PJ like sitting in the back, and I was like, who are these old guys? Like, that was like who are these old ass guys like sitting, and then Bam's like, dude, that's the producer and the star of the show. And I'm like, oh, okay, what? Like, I didn't get it, because I was like, because dude, when you're 19, like 29 is like so old. And then now I look, I'm like 29, so young, shit, and I didn't realize it. And then and we filmed all that crazy stuff. And then being a young kid like that, I had, since I was like 12, we had filmed CKY stuff. Right. So that stuff to me was always like, all right, we'll film
that. That's when we met Bam way back then. Like,
right, 411. That, like, all that those days. Like, I remember, like, because I remember being right there when he's filming the thing in the bathtub where he's like, got the.
Well, I remember we were on a Big Brother tour. Yeah. And we were going through Philly, and Bam's dad brought him out to come shoot with us. And he's just this little kid. He's a little fucking kid, but he was busting, you know,
Yeah.
and you could tell he was just funny. And then then he signed with Toy Machine. They put out that first video.
Yeah, because
It really related to what we were doing. Same thing. Like, skateboarding was the lifestyle. Like, it was about just the nonsense around skateboarding. That's what we were always best at. Right.
Yeah. No, and I remember seeing the videos and like dude eating a dog shit for trucks and stuff, and I was like, oh man, you know, because eating actual poop to get those trucks, you know, and but yeah, like it was just crazy because I think like I was saying is like at 12 years old we were filming these random things and I'm like, oh, what is any of this? This is just all fun, and then all of a sudden like you know, Lansby was going to put out a video of all the collective stuff. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. But I never thought anything of anything. And then you guys show up and it's like MTV's doing that. I'm like, what the hell? So then for me, it was like, oh, it just all works out like that.
Yeah. Me too, by the way. You know, like,
and then now, but to see the real process of like, not to say that's not real, but every process is different, but actually going about like scripted movie and doing that, it's like, dude, 2010, like, I mean, for real, that's like invested time.
Oh yeah, but you know, and like you can get like I understand why people would look at me and my body of work and not be ready to throw like a script and a lot of money at like this guy can do it.
Yeah.
You look at our body of work. It really was, you know, Bad Grandpa was the first like telling a long story, and then I'd done a couple documentaries that felt a little more, but still not
like Being Evil and Birth of Big
Air and a lot of I love
those are rad, by the way. Yeah, because I watched all those, and they're just awesome. But so they were a little bit like tentative.
Yeah, like right after the first Jackass movie like blew up, I got some scripts, but they were like so shitty, you know, like just the shittiest.
Like
most basic comedies that
like
back then it was direct to video shit, you know. I don't think anything that came my way aired and made any noise, you know. Like,
dude, England was talking about this movie Shred that he did. He was like, he told the producer like, oh no, I'm not an actor, like I shouldn't do this, and they're like, you'll figure it out. He's like, what? And then he got on set and they're like, all right, do this. He's like, I can't remember anything, I told you I'm not an actor. And they were like, wait. So they were all freaked out because they like just gave him the go ahead for this like crappy movie. But
that sounds like, you know, Pete Davidson, he's in the movie.
Yeah.
And I'm having like, you know, everyone's like, yeah, you should get Pete to do this pizza. So I did all this. Like I started watching Pete videos, mostly from Saturday Night Live stuff. But he's so funny. But he's not but there's nothing that showed me like, oh, he's an actor. He can. And so I get him on the phone. I'm like, well, I just want to see him just read these lines at least so I can understand that he can. I get him on the phone. The first thing's like, "Hey man, I just want to let you know I can't act. Like I'm not an actor. I'd love to do this with you, but I just want you to know up front. Like I'm not really an actor. And they always write me into Saturday Night Live sketches, and then I just try it, and they just say, nah, never mind. You just do your shit on the news with." You're like, oh, that's a great endorsement. As I'm trying to like surround myself with like real professionals as I do. I'm all nervous getting to my first scripted movie, and I'm talking to an actor that I really want to do it, and he's telling me he can't act, and I'm like, but then I'm thinking, well, shit, none of my guys could ever act, and we did fine. Come on, join the group.
Get in here.
Get in here. And he's the best, man. We had a great.
Dude, he did a great job.
I thought so. I mean, like he is an actor.
Right, because the role that he's in is totally different than the guy that you know.
Yeah, no. What's so funny is like when he showed up, you know, he naturally leans funny and wants to be funny, and like. Our first scene, it's like all the guys are rowdy, and he walks up and introduces himself. But I needed him to play it real straight and kind of nerdy and straight. And he's first thing he just dives in and starts cracking the guys up. I'm like, no, that's awesome, but we're not going to use that. So you got to kind of pull him aside and like, hey, man, like
you're not cool and funny,
right? Yeah,
you're nerdy, and
I want you to be funny like that as soon as we're off to the side, like because it was so funny because he and Machine Gun Kelly just hit it off. Like they had they're the two funniest. Like they had a rapport right away. Yeah, and that was fun to watch. And
dude, that's a good point with Machine Gun Kelly. Like, how did you know that he would be? And he's the perfect Tommy, by the way.
I know. Well, so I really wanted to put some sort of real rock star in this movie that would
Get
give it legitimacy, and also influence the other actors with this is how it really is, not knowing that Machine Gun Kelly was the right guy for that. But I got this. He self-taped this read, and it was like, he's not acting like Tommy. He is fucking Tommy.
Yeah.
Like, and so I meet him, and I had met him a long time ago at like a VMAs or something like that. Just, he's cool. I always liked him, but when I meet him, on the top of his right wrist, it says Mayhem in the same font that Tommy has across his abdomen, and he had that. That was an old tattoo. That wasn't like something he got to impress me for the role. On his left wrist, on the inside, he's got the Jackass logo tattooed on his wrist. I'm like, well, we don't even need to, like, you're made for this, like, right? Like, you were destined to be this dude, so let's just fucking go, you know?
Yeah.
And
just so happened to be like 6'5", skinny, and the exact
but he,
same
like
thing.
he committed so hard. He didn't know how to drum. Like he's a natural musician, like, but he didn't know how to drum. So the drummer in his band just started, like, who grew up on Tommy Lee, who learned how to drum like Tommy Lee, even though he's like this short little guy. He does all the frills and twirls and everything.
Yeah.
And he just put Coulson, Machine Gun Kelly, through this rigorous boot camp. I mean, just nonstop beating his ass on how to just twirl the drumsticks right.
Yeah.
And so, basically, Machine Gun Kelly never put that drumstick down just
got obsessed with it. Yeah.
5 months before, like, just nonstop.
Dude, I mean, and that's you nailed exactly, because I was gonna ask that, because there's scenes in it where I'm like, oh, he must know how to drum.
Yeah, no,
because it was like right on, and it looked.
Well,
natural.
if you think about it, you can't fake drumming. You can fake almost everything else, but drumming is where, I mean, I guess like a guitar player would know, watching a guitar player fake it, but like the average person isn't going to know.
You're going, no,
that's
going
the
like
note
this,
that's coming out.
cool.
But you know if the drum's not making sense, if it's not hitting the notes, and you just, that's something everybody catches.
I kind of looked for it too.
Yeah,
I
right?
kind of was like, let's see what's happening.
I think a lot of
here.
people would, like,
Yeah.
and he crushed it, and he can really play now.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, that's right. I mean, yeah, he definitely embodied Tommy like 100. It was like, man,
and he influenced the other, like, it did exactly what I wanted it to, and I think they influenced, I had 3 other really good actors playing the other guys, and they all it was a really good.
Yeah. Who are the actors? Like, who played? What's the actor's name that played Vince?
Vince is Daniel Weber.
Yeah.
He was the last one we cast, so I never heard of him, but our casting, Barbara Fiorentino, put him up. She was a huge fan. Showed me, like, he played Lee Harvey Oswald in that Stephen King adaptation for Hulu, and then he just finished shooting The Punisher for Netflix, and he's awesome. But like, it didn't show, neither of those showed me that he could play a rock star. But then he came in and he just he's an acrobat, He's just this sinewy little, like, just moves around just like a rock, like he is a front man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was the last piece, and it was so perfect when we met him, except for his stupid accent.
Yeah.
He talks like this, mate. And he's like, oh, God, you got to learn.
Yeah.
If you can lose that stupid accent, we're gold.
Yeah. Dude, it's kind of crazy. I just thought about, he was the last piece, kind of like Vince was the last piece.
Right.
That's right. Crüe for real. Like,
it fell in exactly, it's funny because we cast it, like, first guy we found was Douglas Booth. Like, as soon as I found him, he was the perfect Nicky.
And it's funny because
and as soon as, like, they presented me with, like, here's some Mick choices, and they showed me Ewan, who I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan. I'm like, if he'll do it, like, I don't need an audition, right? Just bring him.
Yeah.
He's it. That's perfect. And so,
dude, it's funny because the guy that plays Nicky, like, I saw photos of him, like, separate, because I never saw him before he was Nicky, and so when I saw him right away, he was Nicky, and I just saw that, and then I saw this photo of him, like, after the fact. I'm like, who's that guy?
Yeah, it doesn't look at all. Like, he's a chameleon. Like, luckily he had done another biopic where he played Boy George, and I got to see all these clips. And it's, again, you would never recognize him as the actor if you saw a picture of him not dressed up. It's like, so I knew that he could totally transform, and I had full confidence that he was going to pull it off.
So at this point when you're casting, like studio's already behind it, and you guys are.
Netflix is behind it, but casting mattered a lot to them. That was the one thing that really mattered. So it was really working with them to get this cast that made sense to the movie and to them. Like, it had to make sense to both. And so we finally landed on, and they were luckily like supportive of us, kind of coming up with a lot of no big names playing these guys, but kind of the right level of names playing these guys.
Yeah.
And because I don't know, for me that mattered too. I wanted it to be sort of discoveries that you don't get knocked out of the movie by looking at a big name actor sort of with a wig on, and you know.
Yeah, and I love that because I mean, just as a movie fan, I love going in and being like, I don't really know who this person is, but they're incredible. And then it's almost like this breakout opportunities for breakout roles.
Right.
But it doesn't distract you from like, oh, there's Brad Pitt with a wig on.
Right.
You know, like
right.
it's like
because you feel the wigs more. Like my biggest fear in making this movie is the wigs, right? Like if the hair doesn't look right, if the hair looks too big, too stupid.
Yeah.
Then it feels like we're making fun of this scene, and it feels like a parody or satire. It so quickly turns into just a shitty Halloween party, right? Like,
did they grow their hair out at all?
No.
Okay, so
no.
it was all wigs. Okay.
Really expensive.
Yeah, it looked
wigs.
good. Yeah, it did.
And a woman named Ann Morgan did all her hair, and she killed it. So.
Yeah, nice. So okay, so then the studio is behind, and where did you shoot?
We shot in New Orleans.
Okay, so.
And that was good. Like, honestly, like the movie should have been shot in L.A. It's a L.A. story, mostly. But for me, I think it helped for all of us to just be on top of each other with no distractions.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Other than New Orleans is a big distraction. But, like, we were all just stuck on top of each other 24 hours a day, right? Like,
yeah.
So, and it's kind of what like when Jackass works the best is when we're all away from. You know, it's not a job; it's your life. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And it creates that bond.
Yeah, and I think the bond we had to form that bond, and that bond was formed by just living together and just being right on top of each other the whole time. So.
Yeah, because I was thinking when I was watching, I was like, "Is this actually Rainbow, or was it like remade?" Because it was perfect.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, like, for me, it was super important. One. Because I wanted to be the least experienced person on the whole crew, right? Like, this is my first. I wanted to make sure that I had the most experienced DP, most experienced production designer, most experienced costumer. Like, and luckily, it just fell into place perfectly. Like, I first found Toby Oliver. He had just done Get Out.
Yeah.
And
whoa. And that's the DP.
He's the DP,
yeah.
and I was just like. It sort of mattered to me that he did Get Out. I didn't realize that it mattered to, but I knew that was Jordan Peele's first movie, and just meeting him, I could tell he was going to look out for me in a way, like look out for my rookiness in this.
Yeah,
and he did. He absolutely was just. We had such a great partnership. Like I didn't have to worry about what things were going to look like. He just took care of that. Like, and Mel Jones was our production designer, and it's like we're all sort of this. We all grew up in this era, so we all cared about telling it right. Like we were all very 80s kids, right? We were like, this was where we grew up. So there was like this love letter to that time period that we all just knew that it's not gonna be fucking fake, man. None of this is gonna feel. And Christine Wada, same thing. She was our costumer, and she just. Cared so much about, like, she worked at CBGB's in New York, like, just understood the world, like, so well that it turned out that we were all kind of the same age, and just I just had, they gave me so much confidence. They looked out for me and looked out for the movie so well. All I had to really do was work with the actors and make sure we get this
that's awesome
real bond. So they, like, hiring them was the
and you went
blessing.
About kind of meeting them and figuring out who they are, or did they come
like I intentionally wanted really experienced people, but it's sort of like as you start interviewing, the right one just they almost always popped right up. It was the right one. This is it. These are my first choices, and we got them all.
Yeah,
So-
that's cool. Cause the Rainbow, like, I mean, we've spent many of
Yeah.
nights there with Lemmy always there.
And like she built it, like it's so funny. So the Rainbow, she was so good at like repurposing spaces. Like when you see the movie, God, I'm drawing a blank.
On the Rainbow, yeah.
Not the Rainbow. What's
yeah.
the first place they played? We never went there, but the
Whis-
Starwood. Yeah,
oh,
so
yeah, Starwood.
she built the Starwood. It was in this big sort of in a nightclub, but it didn't look like the Starwood, so she had to put like wood paneling behind the stage. She did the exact wood paneling in the same chevron style that the Starwood had. And then there was a back room, this big, just beat up back room, and she turned it into the Rainbow room. Like just put the old wood paneling, put the little balcony rail around it, all the Christmas lights, all the old photos. I mean, I went in there, I'm like, how did you do this? And it's a 360, you can shoot it any direction.
Yeah.
And then there's another little, she even like just took this one little corner and turned it into a strip club. There's one strip club scene in this Tommy Lee, 24 Hours in the Life of Tommy Lee. Like there's a strip club, and she just whipped that up, like built the strip club off the set. So we had 3 sets, so we could just bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
Like
that's incredible. I mean,
I never could have looked at those spaces and said, "Oh, this will be perfect. That's perfect." Like she showed me, like, "Oh, this is how you do it."
Just I feel like the mind of a production designer is like they already see it like that.
And like what was so great about her and every like you couldn't shake her. Like you like. All right, that's gonna be great. We can't do that. Like that's what happened. We were supposed to do a company move to go to the strip club scene.
Yeah.
And it turned out that's gonna be too difficult. We have to get it on this day. And she's like, no problem. Strip club. I'm like, I love her attitude. And Toby had that. We all had this like, nothing's gonna shake this thing. There's no roadblocks, man. Any roadblock in front of you, just walk right around it.
Dude, and I feel like that's what it takes for great stuff to happen. Like just that positive energy, constantly like, okay, cool, go this. All right, shift gears and go that.
Yeah,
direction. Like,
you get. You know, you've been around long enough. Life is this like. Negative energy is more contagious and it's sort of an easier thing to foster. Like, but I've never been about that. I'm always about just no way, man. Like,
just go positive
and force your positive energy on everybody else and make sure you control the whole room. Like, you got to be the big bright light. Like, so
and you got to force it.
And you have to force it because like honestly, if you turn it back, like everyone, it's easy to bitch about shit and it's easy to shit on stuff. You know, like that's the easiest thing to do. It's harder to endorse something, to be honest. It's harder to get because you're putting your like. You know, it's sort of cowardly to just sit back and shit on stuff.
Yeah,
like you got to be brave to fucking endorse it.
Yeah, dude. So, to be that trailblazer kind of.
And for everyone to jump on board. Like, let's just do this. There's nothing. You can't let anything stop you.
Yeah, and the cool thing I think about the Dirt is like you are all actually excited as hell to be doing it.
Yeah, like
that
top to bottom, like the whole crew is like. Absolutely on board with it, you know.
That shines through big time in the movie too. Like,
cool.
I mean, it was a fun fucking watch all the way from the very beginning, because of the style of here, there, like right in the beginning. And it was like, oh, cool, okay, like, and then I was like, damn, okay, feeling like that story, and then you're right in, and then you're already like, you already know who everybody is, and you're already set right, and then you're comfortable to go on that ride.
Yeah, well, that was the plan was to. Sort of trick people into staying on this ride because I wanted it to start off super fun and just the full on live up to the expectations of this is the craziest sex, drugs, and rock and roll story that ever happened. But honestly, it all gets so dark, and you want to feel that dark. You want to care about the guys, so when it does get dark, you're still on board, and you want to feel that pain and the suffering that happens. You know.
Yeah. So it's coming out 22nd.
Yeah, it comes out 22nd.
And have you done a premiere for it yet, or
no? They're still like finalizing what that's going to be, but it'll be a couple days before the.
Cool, and actually that made me think about the screening process. Like after you've shot it. I mean, some people know this, but not a lot of people know that, like, you go through kind of a rigorous post-production of you're cutting things.
Like I was explaining to me, you make a movie is made 3 times, right? A movie is made first on paper. It's a script. It's been made once. Then you cast and you get the cameras out and you make the movie again, right? This is now it's realizing it, and it all changes. You know,
Yeah.
what's written is never the final product, right? Like once you start getting the actors in, that all starts to change. And but then you make it again, and once you take all that footage, you do totally again remake it again in post. So
Yeah.
you are not married to the way the scene was shot. Like
Yeah.
you can reconstrue it and reconfigure it any which way. Like that was kind of news to me. Like I knew that in doing post with Jackass, we always reconfigure and like like if you were there, it usually isn't exactly what you see. It was like there's a lot more to it than. But same with the scripted stuff. Like yeah, you can totally.
Dude, I was just thinking right now because I came in for Bad Grandpa, like you guys were doing a screening at Paramount, and
Right.
I think I just moved back out here, and you were like, yeah, come on over to that. So I go over and I'm watching, and then at the end, like you and Knoxville and Spike were standing there, and you're like, oh, like what'd you think? And then I was like, man, Spike, like. You're like really good at being a girl. Like I couldn't even tell like you were just like a girl. And he was like, thanks, I guess. Like, because his voice,
A
like,
girl.
Yeah, like I like his voice, like.
It's so funny because if you look at him, like you'll never guess it. Like you can never tell that that's Knoxville by looking at it, or that's Spike dressed as a grandma. As soon as those motherfuckers talk, it's like, oh, that's Johnny Knoxville and that's Spike. Like,
Because I was saying like when people do like guys do a girl's voice, you can always hear like the deepness. But with him, I was like, you did like a great job of me not hearing that. And he's like, okay, I guess that's good. Like you're not masculine, so no. But I remember going through that process of kind of seeing the screener and then going the final product was different. There was
we didn't even use the Spike
things.
scenes. Like the Spike scenes ended up not making them, even though they were hilarious. We got great shit with them, but it didn't forward the story along. You know, and so you saw it. Yeah, we reshuffled it all around.
Yeah. Well, how about like with the dirt? Like were there things like that you had to lose that like because I mean I just even from the little like short films and stuff that I do on the small level, just because I'll shoot because I'm a camera guy too, so I'll shoot and I'll be like, this is this beautiful scene, it's shot beautifully, and I'm like, and I have to lose it. Like
it's hard, man. It's hard, but like you know the end product is more important than those pretty little scenes. Like, So, we had to kill a ton of those. These long, beautiful, established shots that get like, but that's just adding time right now, and I need this movie to fly. You know, like it's just kill. But it's a process. Yeah. You can't fall too in love with your scenes. The same with anything I've ever made. You got to be ready. Yeah.
Or you'll
let
just
some of it
make
go.
the Dirt .5.
Dirt 5. Dirt .5.
But, yeah, man. Well, cool. Well, dude, thanks for sitting down.
Of course,
with me
man.
and,
Anytime.
Chatting the dirt.
And shit.
Yeah, and shit. We talked a lot about shit before we got into this movie, but I'm excited for you, man, and congratulations with doing that. It's really rad to watch your career evolve in so many different ways.
Well, I'm watching you come up too, man. So let's just do it.
Yeah. Sweet. All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
Later, buddy.
Hell yeah.